What is up, people? So today I have a little experiment I ran. So as some of you know, I work with Stephen Taylor from Stephen's Drum Shed, and he's about to do a YouTube series on John Bonham. It's gonna be cool. You should check it out. But he's covering the groove "When the Levee Breaks," and I love that groove. If you're not familiar with it, I'm sure I'm gonna insert a clip here so you can hear it. But John Bonham is an amazing drummer, and these drum sounds were so cool. And you can't talk about the "When the Levee Breaks" groove without talking about how it was recorded. And again, I'm not usually one who's like, oh, Abbey Roads, what preamps did they use and all that stuff, but this groove is so signature because of the room and the way they recorded it. So, to my knowledge, and just so you know, this experiment is not like, I want to be John Bonham, I'm just as good as him, I got just as good drum sounds. No. This experiment was, this is how "When the Levee Breaks" the drum sounds sound. Can I get in that ballpark? Can I get that same vibe? Because I think that as drummers, we practice a lot of rudiments and paradiddles and stuff, but we don't talk about ways to practice things like recording techniques and things like capturing a vibe of a groove and stuff like that. That is all just as important as paradiddles, because honestly, people don't care how fast you play paradiddles. They care, how do you make this song feel? What sounds do you bring to the table? So this little experiment was a way for me to kind of push my limits and say, can I get the same sound vibe that they did from my home studio? Because "When the Levee Breaks," legendary Led Zeppelin song, the groove is iconic, and the reason is because, to my knowledge, and I might be wrong, I'm not saying that I know this for 100%, I was not there, I've only heard that.
This is the hall where the drums were set up and where Levee Breaks was recorded. And when Bonzo came out, he started playing it in this thing, and it was this huge expanse. The mics were put up here over the banisters.
I'm not sure what preamps they use or compressors or whatever. Again, that's not why I'm here. I just know that the sound, when you listen to it, it's a very roomy, airy sound, and half of the reason the groove sounds so cool is the verb and the delay of the drums in that space. So I set out with a little experiment of, can I get that same vibe from my home studio? So I'll play you the clips in a second, but what I wanted to do is show you what mics I used and kind of my thought process. So I only wanted to use 3 mics because I want to kind of copy the same vibe that they had, and again, I think it was 2 room mics they used, so I want to kind of use that same kind of setup. I used a kick mic so that I knew I had kick in there if I needed it, and then I used 2 other room mics. One of the room mics was in the room I'm in, so in this room that I am in right now, one of the room mics, and then the other one was out in the hallway. So let me show you where the mics were that I used. The kick mic is a Beta 52, and it was inside the kick drum, just like that. The second mic I used was this Cascade Fathead, which just is in the corner of the room. There's the corner of the room. There's the drum set. And then the third mic went out in the hallway. The third mic went out in the hallway, and then I'm up on the second floor, and as you can hear as I'm talking, everything is getting much more reverby, and the other mic went here. So where that door is open and the light is coming from is my studio. So the other room mic was in here, and if you clap in here, you can hear it's very reverby. So this room mic was very far away from the drums, but gave it a very nice, natural sound. So those were the 3 mics. Now, I'll play you the clips. And again, this first clip is just the drums, a little bit of EQ, a little bit of compression, but just the drums. Kick mic, in-room mic, outside of room mic. Those are the 3 that you're going to hear in the first example, just the kick mics with some EQ and some compression. The kick mic sounded like this. The close room mic sounded like this. The far room mic sounded like this. Altogether, those 3 mics with just EQ and compression sound like this. Then I added some reverb, and the reverb added to those mics, just taking those mics with the EQ and compression they had, and then adding reverb, it sounded like this. And it's a plate reverb I'm using here, and it's obviously a huge room, and it's a lot of verb. It is drenched in reverb. And then the last thing I added delay. And delay is literally like the same note but delayed a little bit. So it's an eighth note delay, and it's pretty up in the mix, more so than it usually would be, because when you listen to When the Levee Breaks, you can literally hear all these sub beats that are part of the groove that actually John Bonham isn't even playing. It's hard to tell which notes he's actually playing and which notes are delay. All those 3 mics with the reverb and the delay, this is what it sounds like. That is the When the Levee Breaks with EQ and compression and verb and delay. I think it sounds pretty cool. What do you think? Do you think it sounds like the original? I think it does, and obviously I'm not John Bonham, and I didn't have nearly as awesome as a place to record as they did, but I think little experiments like these, again, just ways to push yourself to really go for a vibe and commit to it and try to make it happen, are really cool ideas to get the creative juices flowing, weird expression, and just to push your boundaries of who you are as a producer and a drummer and a person that makes sound for a living or a hobby or whatever. Put in the comments, let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. I have a bunch of content coming out, and I want you to be a part of it. If you have ideas for lessons or whatever, put those in the comments. Send me an email, timbuellmusic@gmail.com, and I will see you in the next lesson.